We are all aware that CEOs make a lot of money. They climb the corporate ladder to get the posh office and dedicated parking slot, or their parents have delegated the role to them. That being said, being the CEO of the world's largest firm does not always imply being the most compensated. Many consider Jeff Bezos to be the world's richest man, and this is correct. His base compensation as a CEO, however, is merely $81,840 per year. So today in this video, we will look at the world's highest paid CEOs, some of whom may surprise you, and many of whom you may not have heard of. We will look at their rise to the position of CEO and how much money they make. If you're new to our channel, please subscribe to see more videos like this. Let's get started. Number 10. Shantanu Narayan. If you work in any creative area, you're probably paying this man's income every time you launch a piece of software on your computer. Adobe's current CEO is Shantanu Narayan. His total remuneration in 2019 was $39.1 million. The annual revenue of the company is $11.2 billion, with a median employee wage of $147,115, implying that total CEO compensation is 266 times that of the average employee's pay. So how did he end up with so much money? He was born in India and graduated with a bachelor's degree in electronics and communication engineering. He relocated to the United States of America to get his MBA at the University of California, Berkeley, and promptly began his career. Shantanu's first significant position was at Apple. He went on to serve as the director of desktop and collaboration products for Silicon Graphics. He rose through the ranks at Silicon Graphics before accepting a position as Senior Vice President of Worldwide Product Research in Adobe in 1998. His efforts were rewarded when he was appointed as CEO in late 2007. Adobe rose to become a Fortune 400 firm under his leadership, with sales increasing year after year. There are only a few details available about Shantanu and his family. He's very discreet about his personal life and does everything he can to stay out of the spotlight. Number 9. Bill McDermott. Bill McDermott is the CEO of ServiceNow, a software company. Bill's yearly CEO remuneration is $41.7 million, compared to the typical employee wage of $223,000, which is the second highest in your list. Having stated that, ServiceNow earns $3.5 billion per year. Bill began working in the firm at a young age. He made his first investment at the age of 16 when he purchased a delicatessen on Long Island. The deli cost him $7,000 and had a significant impact on his life. He attended Dowling College and continued to run the deli while there, utilizing the money he earned to pay for his education. He then traveled to Northwestern for management training before digging in his heels and looking for bigger and better employment. He worked at Xerox for 17 years in a range of positions before becoming the Executive Vice President of Siebel Systems. He was appointed as CEO of SAP America in 2002, a software corporation headquartered in Germany. By 2014, he has advanced to become the CEO of SAP as a whole. He was the first American to do such. He was extremely successful there, increasing the market capitalization from $39 billion to $159 billion. He then joined ServiceNow and rose to the position of CEO. Number 8. Lachlan Murdoch. Except for Lachlan Murdoch, all of the CEOs on our list are self-made. He's currently Fox Corporation's CEO. Lachlan's overall CEO remuneration in 2019 was $42.1 million, while Fox's yearly revenue is $11.4 billion. Lachlan was born into opulence. Rupert Murdoch, his father, started News Corporation. As a result, Lachlan spent his childhood alternating between living in New York City and attending school in Aspen. He received a bachelor's degree in philosophy from Princeton, but never used it. When he was 18, He was flown to Australia to meet with his father and train at the Daily Mirror. At the age of 22, he was appointed general manager of Queensland newspapers. He followed his father's footsteps and became the publisher of The Australian, Australia's first national newspaper. He was appointed Deputy CEO of News Limited in 1995, and his position grew year after year. He was appointed Executive Director in 1996. He was appointed Deputy Chief Operating Officer in 2000. He later rose through the ranks to become Executive Vice President and ultimately Chairman. As VP, he was persuaded by a buddy to invest in OneTel. Unfortunately, the investment was doomed to fail and was heavily ridiculed by his employees. Murdoch agreed to a $40 million settlement after the company failed. Soon after, in 2005, he abruptly resigned from his position. He later established Illyria Pty, a private investment firm that invested in hundreds of firms, including Nova Entertainment. In 2014, he rejoined the family firm as co-chairman of News Corporation. His tenure there only lasted a year before he was promoted to executive chairman of 21st Century Fox. When Fox was purchased by Disney in 2019, he was named CEO of Fox Corporation, a position he still holds to this day. Number 7. Satya Nadella. If you've heard of Microsoft, you may have heard of its current CEO, Satya Nadella. The median annual salary for a full-time employee is $172,512, compared to $42.9 million for him in 2019. Satya was born in India and got his bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from the Monopole Institute of Technology. He then moved to the U.S. and went to school at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. He began his career at Sun Microsystems. Then in 1992, he joined Microsoft. His contribution to Microsoft was significant right away. He was in charge of important projects, including the transition to cloud computing. Under his leadership, the cloud revenue increased from $16.5 billion to $20.3 billion. He was the Online Services Division's Senior Vice President of Research and Development. Later, he rose to the position of President of Microsoft Server and Tools Division. He ascended to the position of CEO in 2014, the company's third in its history. His annual pay was $700,000 at the time, and it has since increased. As CEO, he's achieved significant strides. Mojang, the game business best known for Minecraft, was his first acquisition, and it cost him roughly $2.5 billion. He also paid $26.2 billion for LinkedIn and $7.5 billion for GitHub. Number 6. Miguel Patricio. He's possibly the most mysterious CEO in our list. Miguel Patricio is the CEO of Kraft Heinz, a well-known firm. In 2016, his total CEO remuneration was $43.3 million, while the typical employee income was only $42,689, making his pay 1,014 times higher. Miguel was born in Portugal, but came to Brazil to pursue a business degree at Sao Paulo University. Throughout his career, he worked exclusively in leadership positions for firms such as Philip Morris, Coca-Cola, and Johnson & Johnson. He spent 2 decades in Anheuser-Busch, where he rose to the position of Chief Marketing Officer, a position he held for 6 years. After that, he became CEO of Kraft Heinz, where he still works and makes a nice living. Number 5. David Zaslav. We all know that the television industry is profitable, but David Zaslav is the only person from the sector on this list. His total 2019 remuneration as Discovery's CEO was $45.8 million. Miguel Patricio made a $2 million leap. David was born in New York and attended law school at Boston University. Surprisingly, he briefly worked as an attorney before switching careers and working for NBC Universal for 20 years. His primary position was president of cable and domestic television, where he was in charge of content distribution, controlling channels like Bravo, The Weather Channel, USA Network, A&E, The History Channel, and Sundance was part of this. He then became CEO of Discovery in 2007, and the company began trading as a public corporation for the first time a year later. His job as CEO has had an effect on Discovery. He helped kick off a 12-year relationship with a PGA Tour, gaining live rights to all their content, which is a lot. They've aired some of the most well-known and well-received shows during his tenure, including Planet Earth and Frozen Planet, basically a lot of stuff about the globe. He also founded Investigation Discovery, one of the fastest-growing cable networks in the United States, aimed mostly at people who enjoy murder mysteries. Number 4. John C. Plant. Our list's oldest CEO, John C. Plant, has been in the industry for a while, and he's the CEO of Howmet Aerospace, where he makes a lot of money. His 2019 pay was $51.7 million, which was way higher than the typical employee wage of $55,497. He spent years in leading capacities in the automotive industry. He was the president of Lucas Verity Automotive, a car components firm situated in the United Kingdom. When TRW purchased Lucas Verity, John was named chairman. For many years, he was a success at TRW. TRW employed over 65,000 workers in over 190 facilities during his leadership. TRW was afterwards purchased by ZF Friedrichshafen. After TRW, John spent 2 years as the CEO of another company, ARCONIC Incorporated. He subsequently went on to work for Howmet Aerospace, an aerospace business that makes jet engines and other aerospace components. Number 3. Lisa Su. The list's first woman. Lisa Su has made it in a tough industry and moved up through the ranks by working hard. She's the CEO of a company you probably haven't heard of called Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD. You probably use their products, though, every day. In 2019, her total CEO compensation was $58.5 million, compared to the median employee salary of $96,800. Lisa was born in Taiwan and moved to the United States when she was 3 years old. Math and technology intrigued her in such an early age. She routinely disassembled and reassembled her brother's radio-controlled automobiles. She chose electrical engineering at MIT because she believed it was the most difficult engineering course. There, she received her master's degree and doctorate. Her first position was as a member of Texas Instruments technical staff. Then she joined IBM as vice president of their semiconductor research and development department. She performed a crucial part in altering and developing novel materials for use in semiconductor chips at that company. Her efforts were not overlooked. She served as a technical assistant to IBM CEO before being promoted to Director of New Products. She eventually became the General Manager of Advanced Microservices after a few more career changes, a firm that creates computer processors using semiconductors. When she became CEO, she pushed for the company's diversification. Prior to her arrival, barely 10% of the company's sales originated from non-PC regions. By 2015, 40% of revenue was derived from non-PC markets, almost exclusively from the video game business. Number 2. Bob Swan. Bob Swan, the current CEO of Intel, is the man to see if you want to see someone who has held nearly every position. His income in 2019 was a staggering $66.9 million, compared to the average employee wage of $96,300. Bob assumed more roles than any other person we know. Over the course of 15 years, he held dozens of high finance positions at General Electric. He was promoted to Chief Executive Officer of GE Transportation Systems and subsequently to Vice President of GE Medical Systems in Europe. After that, he was a Vice President of Finance and later the Chief Financial Officer of GE Lighting. He was finally prepared to depart from GE. He later served as Webvan CFO until the company's downfall. Still, he was able to move on to Northrop Grumman Space and Mission Systems Corporation as its Chief Financial Officer. Following that, he served as the CFO of HP Enterprise Services and eBay. So basically, he has worked in several different industries until in 2018, he was appointed as Intel's Chief Executive Officer. Number 1. Sundar Pichai, the world's highest paid CEO. In 2019, Sundar Pichai received a staggering $280.6 million in salary, over 4 times as much as the next closest on our list. His firm, Alphabet, pays a typical yearly median wage of $258,700 to its employees. Sundar graduated from the Indian Institute of Technology with a degree in metallurgical engineering. After that, he earned an MS in Stanford and an MBA from Pennsylvania. He started his career as a Google material engineer in 2004. He is responsible for Google Chrome's product management and innovation. As a result of his work there, he was able to see major projects including Gmail, Google Maps, and Android, propelling him to higher positions inside the company. For the second time in 2019, he was named CEO of Alphabet Inc. While serving as Chief Executive Officer, he has earned a reputation as a cool-headed leader who is compassionate and considerate of those around him. His staff gave him a 96% approval rating, which is astoundingly high. He's well known for keeping quiet during meetings and letting others talk before he adds anything of his own. That's all for the video. What are your thoughts about the top 10 highest paid CEOs? Do you think they're a little bit overpaid? Or do you think they should be making more? Join the conversation in the comment section below. Please click the like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy this video. We'll see you in the next one.